Australia is less than 6% of the planet's land. And on that one drifting slab of rock sits the most venomous snake on Earth, the most venomous fish, the most venomous octopus, and a jellyfish the size of a sugar cube that can stop a grown adult's heart in under 5 minutes. Here's the part nobody tells you. That is not bad luck. It's not a coincidence, and it's not random. Australia was built to do this, assembled piece by four specific forces that happen nowhere else on the planet at the same time. And once you see those four forces, you'll never look at this continent the same way again. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the deadliest thing in an Australian ocean isn't the shark. It's something you can barely see. Why the snake that kills the most people is not the most venomous one. And why a fuzzy, duck-billed mammal that lays eggs also happens to be venomous. It all traces back to one event, 45 million years ago, when a chunk of an ancient supercontinent tore loose and drifted into total isolation. Let's start there. First, the scale of it. Before the why, sit with what we're actually dealing with. Australia has roughly 170 species of land snake. About 100 of them are venomous, over half against a global average closer to 1 in 4. And when scientists at the Australian Venom Research Unit ranked the world's most toxic snakes by lethal dose, around 20 of the top 25 turned out to be Australian. The 3 single most venomous land snakes on Earth? All 3 live here. It has the only spider whose bite can kill a healthy adult in under 15 minutes. It has a flightless bird that can open a person up with one kick. It has a soft, duck-billed mammal with venomous spurs on its back legs. And in the water lapping its shores, 5 of the most lethal marine animals ever documented all share the same stretch of ocean. No other place on Earth stacks lethal species this densely across land, sea, freshwater, and air all at once. That doesn't happen by accident. 4 things happened here, and only here, in this exact combination. Here's the first. Force 1. 45 million years alone. Australia wasn't always an island. It was the corner of Gondwana, the ancient southern supercontinent that also held South America, Africa, Antarctica, and India. Around 45 million years ago, Australia began tearing away from Antarctica and drifting north, slowly, alone, eventually ringed on every side by deep ocean. That isolation ran for tens of millions of years. No land bridges, no migrations in or out, no genetic exchange with the rest of the living world. Every species stranded on that drifting raft evolved inside a sealed chamber, answering only to Australian predators, Australian competitors, and Australian climate. That's why the wildlife looks like nowhere else. Marsupials, mammals that raise their young in a pouch, took over the roles that placental mammals filled everywhere else. Kangaroos instead of deer, wombats instead of groundhogs, koalas instead of sloths. And here's the consequence almost no one connects. When placental mammals were evolving into big, fast, efficient predators across Africa, Asia, and the Americas, Australia's ecosystem had already locked its doors. With no large placental hunters bearing down from the top, reptiles and invertebrates faced far less pressure for dominance. Snakes, spiders, and marine invertebrates spread into niches that mammals seized on every other continent. And the weapon many of them perfected wasn't size or speed or claws, it was chemistry. So isolation explains why the wildlife is unique. It does not explain why so much of it is venomous. For that, you have to look down, at the ground itself. Force 2. The venom arms race. Australia is the driest inhabited continent on Earth. More than 70% of it is arid or semi-arid. Nutrients are thin, prey is scattered. Out there, energy is expensive, and every single hunt counts. Picture a snake in that landscape. If it bites prey and then waits an hour for it to die, it risks losing the meal to a scavenger, or simply losing the body across featureless plain. But a snake whose venom kills in seconds never has that problem. Bite, drop, done. No wasted energy. No second chance required. Over millions of years, that pressure selects, relentlessly, for one thing, more potent venom. That's the leading explanation for why Australian snakes ended up so disproportionately lethal. Pure ecological efficiency. Take the inland taipan, the most venomous land snake on the planet. It lives in the cracked clay pans of Central Australia, where prey is scarce and conditions are brutal. A single bite carries enough venom to kill, in theory, more than 100 adult humans. That's not malice. That's a precision instrument, forged by a place where missing one meal can mean death. But, and this is the twist that matters, the inland taipan is shy, and it lives deep in the outback where almost no one goes. It has never killed a recorded human. The eastern brown snake is its mirror image. Second most venomous land snake in the world, but it thrives in grassland, farmland, and suburban backyards across the populated East Coast. It's fast, it's defensive, and it kills more people in Australia than any other snake. Read that again. The most venomous snake barely touches us. The one that moved in next door does the killing. The same pressure carved Australia's spiders. The Sydney funnel web, living in and around the country's biggest city, has fangs that can punch through a leather shoe and venom that throws the human nervous system into total overdrive. Sodium channels firing uncontrollably, muscles seizing, lungs filling with fluid. Before the antivenom arrived in 1981, it had killed 13 people. Since 1981, 0. And not because the bite stopped. The science simply caught up. Land covered. But Australia's single deadliest concentration of life isn't on the land at all. It's in the water wrapped around it. Force 3, the ocean that surrounds it. Australia sits at the meeting point of the Indian and Pacific Oceans, its northeast coast pressed against the Coral Triangle, the most biodiverse marine region on Earth. Thousands of species of fish, mollusks, jellyfish, and cephalopods crowd these waters, and a staggering number of them landed on the same evolutionary answer: venom. The box jellyfish drifts through the warm shallows of northern Australia, trailing up to 60 tentacles, each one armed with millions of microscopic harpoons that fire on the lightest touch. A severe sting can stop a human heart in under 5 minutes. At least 69 deaths have been confirmed in Australian waters since 1883, and the wider Indo-Pacific toll is almost certainly higher. It has 24 eyes. It actively swims and steers. By most measures, it is the most venomous marine animal ever recorded. And then there's its cousin, which is somehow worse. The Irukandji jellyfish is about a cubic centimeter, the size of a fingernail, transparent, and nearly invisible in open water. Its sting triggers Irukandji syndrome, named for the Irukandji people of coastal North Queensland. Rolling waves of pain, vomiting, blood pressure spiking through the roof, and, this is documented in the medical literature, a psychological sense of impending doom so total that patients have begged their doctors to let them die. Heart failure can follow. There is no antivenom. In 1964, to prove this fingernail-sized animal was the cause, Dr. Jack Barnes deliberately stung himself, his 9-year-old son, and a lifeguard. All 3 ended up in hospital. He was right, and the water isn't done. The blue-ringed octopus fits in your palm and carries tetrodotoxin, a poison around 1,200 times more toxic than cyanide, with no antidote in existence. The stonefish lies invisible on the seabed and drives stonus toxin through its spines when stepped on, with pain so extreme that victims have asked to have the limb amputated. The cone snail fires a hollow, harpoon-like tooth loaded with a cocktail of over 100 different toxins, some able to paralyze a person in minutes. 5 marine animals. 5 completely separate ways of delivering venom, all sharing the same ocean, off the same continent. That is not random either. Isolation built unique lineages. An arid interior pushed venom to its limits. Tropical seas multiplied marine toxins beyond anywhere else. But there's one last force, and it's the one that let all the others run wild. Force 4. The predators that never came. On every other major continent, big predatory mammals eventually climb to the top of the food chain. Lions in Africa, tigers in Asia, wolves and bears across the north, jaguars in South America. These apex predators held everything beneath them in check, suppressing smaller hunters and venomous species through sheer competition and predation. Australia's great predators were marsupial and reptilian, the thylacine, the marsupial lion Thylacoleo, the giant monitor Megalania. As these vanished, some to a shifting climate, others after humans arrived roughly 65,000 years ago, the continent lost its top-down control more completely than any other landmass. The saltwater crocodile held on, and it's still the largest living reptile on Earth, with males topping 20 feet and 2,200 pounds. But crocs ruled the waterways and the coast. The vast dry interior was left with no dominant predator at all. Into that empty throne, the venomous specialists poured. Snakes radiated into dozens of species across every habitat. Spiders claimed every niche from deep burrow to high canopy. Marine hunters faced little pressure from competing large sea mammals offshore, which produces the strangest signature of all. In Australia, the most dangerous animal is almost never the biggest one. The deadliest thing in the ocean isn't the great white, it's a jellyfish the size of a die. The deadliest thing in the backyard isn't the crocodile, it's a brown snake thinner than a garden hose. Australia never built giant apex predators, it built chemical weapons, small, cheap, and almost unbelievably potent. And then there's the platypus. Nothing sums up Australia's strangeness better than this animal. The platypus, a small, semi-aquatic, egg-laying mammal with a duck's bill, a beaver's tail, and electric sensors in its snout to find prey underwater, is also venomous. Males carry sharp spurs on their hind ankles, wired to glands that brew a cocktail of peptides found nowhere else in the entire mammal world. It won't kill you, but the pain is described as immediate, excruciating, and stubbornly resistant to morphine, sometimes dragging on for weeks. It's one of the only venomous mammals on Earth, and it exists in exactly one place. Because of course it does. The same four forces that armed the snakes and the jellyfish reached all the way into the mammals too. So, why Australia? Not one reason. Four, working together in a combination that exists nowhere else. 45 million years of isolation, sealed off an evolutionary laboratory. An arid interior drove venom potency to the edge of what biology allows. Tropical oceans along the richest marine corridor on Earth multiplied marine toxins past every other coastline. And the absence of large placental predators left a vacuum that venomous species filled from the bottom up. The result is a continent where evolution kept answering the same survival question the same way, over and over, across animals that aren't even distantly related. Snakes, spiders, jellyfish, octopuses, fish, snails, and a duck-billed mammal all arrived, independently, at one identical solution: build a better poison. Scientists call that convergent evolution. Australia is the most concentrated example of it on the planet. So no, Australia didn't just happen to end up with the deadliest animals on Earth. It was engineered to create them, by isolation, by climate, and by an empty throne at the top of the food chain. Here's my question for the comments. Which of these four forces surprised you most? The 45 million years of isolation, the desert venom arms race, the ocean of toxins, or the predators that simply never showed up? Tell me below. I read them. And if you want to see every bear species on Earth explained, from the smallest to the largest, that video is on screen right now. Subscribe to Planet Wild Secrets, because the natural world has a logic to it, and we're going to keep taking it apart, piece by piece.